Hey friends, so our guided practice and our independent practice for today is going to be a little different. Here's what I mean by a little different. We're going to do some guided practice questions together, just like we do in all of our videos. However, your independent practice today is on a different website. That website is called Splash Learn. Some of you might already know, some of you may not, which is totally okay. So after you finish today's guided practice, when you go to your independent practice section, it'll give you steps to log into Splash Learn. Now, Splash Learn is a really cool website where you can essentially play some games that are related to math. So the games that you're going to be playing today are identifying tenths and hundredths. Again, on your independent practice, I have each and every step for you to be able to log in correctly. When you log in, you need to be using the school code and your username. I will know if scholars unfortunately log into other people's names. So be sure that you are being honest and you log into your own name. Your grade will be based on your percentage that you receive on the work. So what that means is that when you are playing the games, the more questions you answer correctly, the higher your score is going to be. If you decide that you want to guess, or maybe you're not able to find a scratch piece of paper to try some of the work and your score is low, that'll also reflect your independent practice. Be sure you take it seriously and be sure to be honest. I know it's hard work, but all of that hard work will pay off when you are fifth graders. All right, for our guided practice for today, however, we are going to compare decimals. We are going to, that's right, compare decimals. In the first week, we talked about comparing numbers to basically be, are they greater than, less than, or equal to? So we're going to do the same for all of these questions with decimals. Make sure you have your scrap piece of paper ready to go and you have question number 1 written down on your paper. Question number 1 says, which number makes this comparison true? Blank is less than 0.06. Make sure you go ahead and write that on your piece of paper. Okay, now that you have the question written down on your scrap piece of paper, we're actually going to write this in words. Yesterday, I'm sure you were wondering why we decided to write all the values in words. That was so easy. Well, the reason for that is because when we write these values or these expressions in words, it helps us understand the question a little bit more. So we know that we don't know the value that we're missing. Well, we should write the symbol in words. So what is the symbol? You're right, it's less than. So when we rewrite it, leave your blank, then write is less than. The next thing that we're going to write is the value of this decimal in words, that's right, words. So we have to remember the work that we did yesterday and remember what is the place to the right of the decimal. The first place is, that's right, the tenth. The second place from the right is the hundredths. So this value is 600ths. Let's write that also in words. So we're looking for a value that is less than 600. Let's go through each of our answer choices, but more specifically, let's say their values so that we know we're comparing them correctly. The first choice is 0.05. Well, that value is 500ths. If we put that value into the blank space, is 500ths less than 600ths? You're right. 500ths is less than 600ths. So we already know our first answer is correct. Let's continue to evaluate the rest of the answer choices so we don't get tricked. 0.07, well, that value is 7 hundredths. Is 7 hundredths less than 6 hundredths? No. 0.4. That value is 4 tenths. Would 4 tenths be less than 6 hundredths? No. And the last choice is, well, if 4 tenths is not less than 6 hundredths, then 7 tenths can also not be less than 6 hundredths. Hi, Kitty Badger. So we know that our correct answer is the first answer choice. Go ahead and organize your scratch piece of paper for question number 2. Okay, question number 2 says, enter the symbol less than, greater than, or equal to that goes in the space to make a true comparison. Go ahead and write those values on your scrap piece of paper. Okay. Just like we did in the last question, let's write each of these values in words. The first value is 6 tenths. So again, write it in words. Your head's in the way, Kitty Badger. The second value, this is a little tricky. You can actually say this 2 ways. One way is 30 hundredths because the 0 at the end over here, that place value is hundredths. It is? That's right, hundredths. So we could say, excuse me, Kitty Badger, we're working. So you could say 30 hundredths, or you could actually say 3 tenths. Let's go ahead and write the value as is. 30 hundredths. We're being so cute right now. Okay, well, how can we compare these two values? 6 tenths with 30 hundredths. Think of it like this. Since we know that dimes are tenths of a dollar, and we know that pennies are hundredths of a dollar, we learned this yesterday in the video with Tim and Moby and Brain Pop. So you can maybe think of this as 6 dimes and 30 pennies. Well, if we think of it that way, we know that 6 dimes is greater than 30 pennies. Well, now we just have to remember which symbol that is. In order for us to remember, we always should keep in mind that whichever side of the symbol is open, that is going to eat the bigger number. So 6 tenths is greater. So we're going to eat that number. That is the greatest value. Let's go ahead and go back to our form and find the greater than symbol. Well, we're going to have to type in the greater than symbol. So yesterday when we practiced putting in fractions, right next to the fraction bar line, which is where the period is, that is where our greater than and less than symbols are. In order for it to work though, you have to hit the shift button at the same time. So we're going to hold the button shift and then the symbol that represents greater than. Nice work. Let's go ahead and get question number 3 set up as well. Ooh, looks like this one has multiple numbers we're going to evaluate. So I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to write all of those values down. Okay, now that we have all of those answer choices written down, let's go back and just reread the question. Select the symbol less than, greater than, or equal to that goes in the blank to make a true comparison. So we're going to evaluate each of these choices. Let's start with the first one. The first one is pretty easy because we also talked about these numbers yesterday. The first value is 1/10, and the second value is 1/100th. If we go back and we think about the value of this, if it were money, this is like saying 1 dime and 1 penny. Well, we know that 1/10, if it were 1 penny, is greater than 1/100th. If we go back and we think about the work that we know about dimes and pennies, we know that 1 dime is greater than 1 penny. Now you'll notice that options 2, 3, and 4, these also have whole numbers. That's right, whole numbers. Well, Ms. Hayes, why do they have whole numbers? They have whole numbers because each digit to the left of the decimal is now a whole number. That represents the ones. It represents that's right, the ones. So in order for us to compare with the whole numbers, all we have to do is evaluate each digit. So when we look at the first one, we see that there's a 3 for the whole number. So that's 3 ones, 3 ones. Well, since they're the same, we only know that they're equal to, but we still have other digits to evaluate. Well, the next digit in the tens place is a 0. Well, the digit in the tens place over here is a 4. Well, let's just compare 0 and 4. So 0 tenths with 4 tenths. Well, we already know that 0 is less. So 3 and 4/100ths is less than 3 and 4/10. Go ahead and use the same strategy for the third option with 2 and 39/100ths and 2 and 49/100ths. Okay, you guys, Kitty Badger will not leave us alone, so we've got to give her a treat. If we don't give her a treat, she will pretty much be in our way the rest of our lesson. Okay, so let's evaluate that last one the same way we did question number 2. Hi, cutie. What'd you do with my pen? There we go. Okay, so let's evaluate each digit. 2 wholes, 2 wholes. Well, they're the same. Let's move on to the next one. Hi. No. 3/10 and 4/10. Well, those digits are different. So now let's compare to see if they're greater than or less than. Come here. Okay, what do we think? 3/10 and 4/10. Well, 3/10 is less than 4/10. So we're going to write the less than symbol. This is pretty much what she wants. She just wants some snuggles. Okay, last but not least, let's do this one. 12.5, 12.50. 12 and 5/10, 12 and 50/100ths. Think about this if they were money. Well, these values would be equal to each other. Hey, you're not supposed to sit there. Come here. Come here. Come here. Here you go. These values are equal to each other. If this were $12 and 5 dimes, well, 5 dimes is the same as 50 cents. Now let's just go ahead and make sure we select the correct symbol for each of our choices. It should be greater than, less than, equal. I know, you just want more treats. Yeah. So greater than, less than, So this one's greater than, this one's less than, third one's less than, and the last one is equal. Sweet job today, friends. As mentioned at the start of the video, your independent practice today is some assignments on Splash Learn. You'll be working on tenths and hundredths. You are specifically going to practice what does a model look like for tenths and hundredths, and how do I write those fractions as a decimal. Be sure to click next and follow all of the steps to be sure you log into Splash Learn today. Happy Tuesday, scholars! What do you want to say?